What's going on, folks?
What is up, everyone?
Hey, I'm gonna let you know, man. We're gonna do something we usually don't do. We're gonna go right into crypto news because there's a lot of shit going on, and Dragon is on the chain over there. Let's
Man,
go, Dragon.
look, okay, the first thing that I want to talk about is the stablecoin bill could unlock trillions for the treasury. And this is like a bunch. So check this out, just for people that are not aware. The Genius Bill Act is a bill to regulate stablecoins, has cleared a key Senate vote with bipartisan support, poised to create a legal framework that could drive trillions in demand for U.S. treasuries, according to crypto czar David Sachs. Stablecoins with over 200 billion in circulation and 28 trillion in transactions just last year. 28 trillion in transactions last year. I know because I used some last year, just like I used some this fucking year. Excuse me for my excitement. Surpassing MasterCard and Visa offer stablecoin efficient payment systems, strengthening the US dollar digital dominance, surpassing MasterCard and Visa, surpassing them because I'd rather use them too. You know, despite concerns from some Democrats about potential conflicts of interest tied to President Trump crypto ventures, the bill is expected to pass. Thank you. Avoiding a filibuster with support from 15 Democrats.
They say it's supposed to pass.
Yeah,
The stablecoin bill may pass.
The bill is expected to pass.
Man, I
avoiding a filibuster with support from 15 Democrats.
I hope the fuck so, man.
Man, look, because that is gonna flip the switch on a bunch of individuals. And once again, I want to reiterate and I want to pose this for a multitude of individuals. I don't care what your emotional ties is or what your true affiliation is with this, but I'm gonna say this: the only reason why them Democrats are upset at Trump is, for one, he's doing stuff legally. He's not doing anything behind the table. He's not doing anything, no insider trading or anything else like that. He has a legit fintech corporation that deals with cryptocurrency, legal wise. That's the reason why they're mad at him. Now, if he was doing stuff a whole different manner, then I would completely understand them, having their hoopla and everything else. But for this dude to have his own DeFi network, he's hooked up with Solana chain. Mind you, it's his sons that's actually overseeing and running everything because they're more in the knowledge about crypto than what he is. He's just a businessman that branched off his knowledge to his offspring, which took notice to what's happening within the digital age and jumped upon it in regards to what they have with their wealth. Please
make a pizza.
See that. Like, see that one thing right there. And then look at what the Democrats that are hooping and hollering and fussing and everything else about it, they could have jumped on that same bandwagon, took their wealth, their assets of what they have, mind you, from
they stupid,
taken from people, and they could have did the same thing. They wouldn't be hooping and hollering, would they? No, because all the individuals that's actually invested in crypto, they ain't said anything. Peep that out. I just want to make sure that that's known right there, so ain't nobody thinking, going along with that. That's just a drive in order to catch people in their emotions and catch them off track. But anybody with actual common sense would see that he did it legally. Woof. So the push for stablecoin regulation in the United States has gained significant momentum, with the Senate Genius Act clearing a critical procedural hurdle, signaling robust bipartisan support. David Sachs, Donald Trump's top advisor on cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence, emphasized the transformative potential of this legislation during an interview on CNBC, Closing Bell Overtime. Sachs highlighted the bill with regulates stablecoins. Cryptocurrencies pegged to real world assets like the US dollar could unlock substantial economic benefits, including driving trillions of dollars in demand for US treasuries. He noted that over 200 billion in stablecoins already circulate in unregulated markets, and a clear legal framework could catalyze rapid growth in this sector. Rapid growth. Because they see their money. Think about it. Why else do that's why I'm like, y'all need to go ahead and for the longest as long as this podcast has been going on, and thank you all that has been watching, tuning in, commenting, sharing with your friends and other stuff so that way they can get this good knowledge all about. I've been telling you, diversify your assets. Also, make sure that you stack your stable coins, especially ROUSD, USDC, which USDC, mind you, is also on the Hedera chain. It's also on the Stellar chain. It's also on the Ethereum chain because it's a ERC20 token in the first place. So it's built off the Ethereum virtual machine. And now those other blockchains have implemented and allowed those to be on their network. Think about it. And all these different system networks is allowing for the payment rails and other stuff. I mean, you can even utilize it with ZPEC as an example, which is on the Solana chain, in which you can actually utilize USDC. And there's I'll have to go back and find the article so that way I can present it to y'all at one point, so that way you can see that that's even accepted on there. So by you stacking up your stable coins, that allows you to actually make your payments of what you need to, whether you're going out buying stuff, or if you're even within the trading area, stuff like that. Now you're not utilizing that fiat, so to speak, because now you can turn that fiat into something else and actually get a yield on it. Because like how I was speaking with my brother just a minute ago, your traditional banks only give you 0.01 to 0.02% APR and APY on what you have in your account starting off. In order for you to actually get 4.6 up to 6% APY and or APR, you must go to an accredited credit union, have a minimum deposit of $5,000, and allow it to sit there for 3 months before it starts to accumulate for you. Versus if you go on Coinbase, Crypto.com, Kraken, or Uphold, and you have your stable coins on there, and you automatically get a base of anywhere between 4.6, 5.5, or even if you hold stuff onto your Ledger Cold wallet, you can get up to 8.6 to 9.9% APR for holding your stable coins.
Listen to the man.
Once again, 4.6%. Up to 8.6 and a potential 9.9% APR and APY on you holding your stable coins there. So which one would you rather do? I mean, their stable coins is outdoing Visa and MasterCard with their normal payments. Credit. Think about it. That's technically credit. So credit's taking a hit. Them banks is taking a hit because ain't nobody utilizing it for that. Because you actually can't use your credit card in order to purchase crypto. You have to use your debit, which is your actual fiat. So if people are actually taking their tangible fiat and putting it into crypto because they're not putting it into the banks, why else do you think the banks are willing to go ahead and scramble and start getting these cryptocurrencies and having the actual custodial aspect of it? So when you want to buy that now, you don't have to go there, you can just buy it from your bank, which means that's recycling the money back in there, because they need to be there. They have to be at that point, because that's why the ISO 2022 token compliance was initialized. That's why I even remember Barron Trump said that if you're not in compliance, you'll be obsolete in less than 10 years. They said that for a reason. But let me continue with this article before I get off. Stable coins, unlike Volatile digital assets such as Bitcoin, which surged to a record high of $109,487.23, suffered sustainability, offer sustainability by maintaining a fixed value, making them ideal for transactions and as a store of value. The market scale is already immense, with Dutch bank DB reporting that stablecoin transactions reached 28 trillion last year, outpacing the combined transaction volumes of payment giants MasterCard and Visa. Let me repeat that one last time. Stablecoin transaction reached 28 trillion last year, outpacing the combined transaction volumes of payment giants MasterCard and Visa, which is accepted every fucking where. Tether, a dominant player holding over 60% of the stablecoin market and backed by Cantor Fitzgerald in the US, exemplifies the sector's influence. Sachs framed the Genius Act as a dual purpose initiative. It establishes a regulatory structure for stablecoins while reinforcing the US dollar's global dominance in digital finance. He describes stablecoins as new payment rails for the U.S. economy, offering a more efficient and cost effective alternative to traditional financial systems. Why else do you think that they outpace Visa and MasterCard? And why else do you think that the banks are kind of in a flurry? And why, if they don't adapt, they literally will be obsolete, because technically, since you can do everything from your cold storage or from the exchanges, which, mind you, staking on the exchanges gives you extra money. If you're able to find pairing liquidity pools with your favorite assets with the USD pairing, such as, like, as an example, H bar, Stellar, or even if you want to, I don't ever talk about this, but I know other people like to get in there into your meme departments, which means you don't have to cycle through the bank, which, remember, they're the custodial holders of the account. That's why the phrase, when you've ever heard, like within the crypto space, not your keys, not your crypto, because it's actually true. Because even though the exchanges are becoming more and more stabilized, at any point in time, the SEC can get a wild hair up its ass and cause an audit on the exchange, and all assets are fucking frozen. You can't touch nothing. Versus if it's in within your own custodial wallet and your secure device, as an example, I can't touch nothing. I don't give a fuck if anything's frozen on there, or if something is frozen on there. I have it there purposely to serve a purpose before I extract it. But I have full custodial access over everything of what I have within mine, which means that I'm my own fucking bank. That threatens the traditional banks, because that means I have more control over my own assets, how I want to do with it and what I want to do with it. I don't have to wait X amount of days in order for certain transactions to go through, unless that is what the businesses or the individuals of what I'm doing with, or the amount of what I'm sitting across due to gas fees will be. But they can't tell me what I can't spend it at, how I can't spend it, or anything else like that, because I have full custodial access over my money. I don't have to call somebody and say, hey, why is this, where's my money at? No, I know where my money's at, because I transferred it directly here into this account and I have access over it. I know the hash function, the block sequences, and everything else. And that's the other good thing about making sure that you're learning blockchain. You gotta learn blockchain. But let me get back to this. I'm sorry for going off, but I wanted y'all to understand and see the change in dynamic of where this financial aspect is going to. Either you're going to have control over this, or you're still going to allow them to have control over it, and you're going to be hooping and hollering about what you can and what you can't do. Seriously. This is your open opportunity now. Even though that door is pretty much closed. but there's still that window of opportunity that's still open because things still haven't been completely signed in place yet. There's still plenty of time for you to accumulate. Once certain things get signed and things go in act, and it's that next fiscal year, that's all she wrote. And that's October. But let me finish up real quick.
Uh,
In it, the Senate's recent vote, with 15 Democrats supporting the bill to surpass the closure threshold, ensures it can avoid a filibuster, paving the way for its anticipated passage. However, concerns persist among some Democrats regarding potential conflicts of interest, like I was talking about earlier, given President Trump's involvement in cryptocurrency ventures, including a personal meme coin and a family linked stablecoin. Hence, when I was telling you, he took the legal route in order to have that done, so that way he can go ahead and be a pioneer, just like how I was telling us to be pioneers within this crypto space before things really take off, because he's a businessman. He created a business, a fintech corporation. And they mad because he was able to see it ahead of time before everything got fucking written in place. That's why they mad. Damn. They are mad at that. Because once things fully take off, he got nothing to worry about. Anyway, these apprehensions, which previously led to the bill's rejection, center on the lack of sufficient safeguards to prevent the president and his family from profiting from the legislation. Sachs sidestepped those concerns in his remarks, focusing instead on the bill's economic promise. The Genius Act represents a pivotal movement for U.S. cryptocurrency policy, aligning with broader efforts to integrate digital assets into the financial system. Stablecoins, by facilitating faster and cheaper transactions, keywords, faster and cheaper transactions, could reshape payment infrastructure while bolstering demand for U.S. treasuries as a backing asset. This legislation positions the U.S. to maintain its financial leadership in an increasingly digital global economy, leveraging the stability of the dollar to anchor the next generation of financial innovation. As the bill moves towards final passage, its implications for both the crypto market and national economic strategy will be closely watched. So, with them passing this bill and finally getting past them idiotic Dems, the president's he's gonna make money off of it. Who y'all could have too. Y'all easily could have. If y'all would have been like, you know what, let me understand blockchain technology. Let me understand how ledger systems are created. Let me understand how cryptocurrency is a digital asset that I could actually create. And let me see the actual know-how behind creating it and having the community base that will actually go ahead and support it. What rails or blockchains that I could actually attribute it to, and then go ahead and make this a legitimate business, while having the infrastructure and legislation being created at the same time. That's the most intelligent route in order to do things, to capitalize and pioneer in an upcoming and growing space, which is about to bluster and boom because of the adaptation and how easy it is and how it makes things much easier for individuals in life overall, if they actually perceive it that way. So you're mad? You sound a special kind of stupid. Even I see that, and I am a billionaire in the making, but with them having those trillions and understand how businesses work and other stuff like that, I would have did it too. Duh. Anyway, so let me get to this next article real quick, which is dealing with USDC, actually. Speaking of which, 1 second, where did it go? All right. So, in regards to USDC, which is Circle, they are launching their cross-border payment networks. So check this out. The Circle Payments Network, or CPN, announced in April it is now live. Circle said in a Wednesday, May 21st blog post.
Mm,
Pause before I continue with that. You can go onto your Google Play Store or your Apple Store and actually download the Circle app.
mm,
By you downloading the Circle app, that allows you to go ahead and also start
mm,
putting some of your USDC in there and then swapping it out elsewhere. You'll also get a bearing yield because you're holding it in Circle's actual app. Just the tip.
mm.
So that's, let's see, if I gave you crypto.com, Coinbase, your ledger system, Kraken, and Circle, that's 5 different areas to where you can allocate your funds and start getting a progressive yield. So if you take those 5 different locations and you look at the yield amount of what they're actually giving to you and you calculate it all together, let's say even if you put $100 in each one, and then you just tally up the entire yield because you're looking at it just diversified over here, but it's still the entire numerical amount. You can be up to having 20% fucking yield on your stuff. 20% yield, APR and APY across all of those. 20%. Where do you often hear you getting 20%? You don't. But with diversification and putting it that way, you're able to go ahead and get that 20% and then just pull it back together to whatever your cold wallet is or however you want to do stuff or allocate some here or there. But that allows you to see, okay, this is my significant returns for what I was able to put, because you're going to have to use the different platforms in order to get your various different assets anyway. Because not all of the platforms have all of said assets. Various ones have similar ones, yes, but just like you can't get Tron on Coinbase and or on crypto.com, but you can get it on Kraken. So, designed to facilitate the use of stable coins for mainstream cross-border payments, this network and coordination protocol enables financial institutions to exchange payment instructions and settling transactions on open public blockchains, according to the Post. CPN supports B2B or business to business supplier payments, cross border remittances, treasury, and global class cash consolidations, recurring enterprise payments, and payroll and mass distributions, per the Post. Early adopters of CPN include Alfred Pay, which is using the network to enable stablecoin to fiat off ramps via PIX and CPEI or CEPI. TazzaPay, which is using it to support compliant fiat disbursements into Hong Kong because Hong Kong is using USDC. Red Dot Pay, which is using the network to initiate USDC based payments into Brazil. And Conduit, which is using it to on-ramp fiat into USDC into US and Europe to support business to business flows into Mexico, according to the Post. That's why I said earlier, USDC is pretty much accepted everywhere. It's very wise in order for you to want to take your fiat, put it in the USDC, so that that way, no matter where you go, or if you have it on your card, as an example, you'll be able to swipe and go. Such as what you're able to do with your Coinbase card. Because, and I'm gonna go ahead and just give Coinbase a little shout out, because with Coinbase, not only do you have
Mm.
4.6% annual percent yield in regards to you holding on to your USDC, it automatically converts to USD when you have it within your Coinbase card. And it's accepted where Visa accepted all across the world. That's how Visa is still able to be justifiable because of the cards of what they utilize, which is a Visa card. They don't have a MasterCard. But Any place to where you can utilize an ATM, you can basically go in, pop in your car, it'll swap it out. And such as if you're overseas, then you can transact that into whatever said currency is because of the offer systems of what they have here. The launch of CPN represents a leap forward for global payments infrastructures towards an architecture where interoperability, compliance, speed, and cost efficiency are emphasized. Circle said in the post, we are just getting started as more institutions integrate with CPN. We look forward to powering new use cases and advancing this new standard for global value exchange. I will repeat this one more time before everything before that flip the switch, before up jumps the boogie and everything else, or you got a crisscross and whatever. Yes, I know I went way back with some stuff. Before you do any of that, you better be stacking up on some USDC, ROUSD, and USDT as we speak. Turn your fiat into those stable coins, and then make sure that you get that yield bearing account, yield bearing stuff going now. So once that flip is switched, you'll have a smooth transition versus being in a bad position. Okay. Do not be in a bad position like your transmission on your expedition messed up. So, Circle, the fintech confirmed behind the USDC and the EURC stablecoins, the Euro stablecoins as well too. Circles in Europe, mind you, said April 21st that it plans starting out rolling CPN in May, connecting financial institutions and enabling real-time settlement of cross-border payments using USDC and EURC and other regulated stablecoins like USDT and RLUSD. I'm putting those last two in there because when it says other regulated stablecoins, those are the only other two. Well, RLUSD is a regulated stablecoin because we know Ripple's acquisitions, what they have and what they backing for, so they good to go. But USDT still has some things of what they need to go ahead and get settled with. But they're actually backed by US gold, commodities, and a couple of other things like that. But they still have to get some regulations down. But there's still a justifiable and viable stablecoin that is being used for payments and other stuff like that. So that's why it's good to go ahead and stack up on it now, so that way you ain't got nothing to worry about. Since our founding, Circle's vision has been made to make moving money as simple and efficient as sending an email. Co-founder, chairman, and CEO Jeremy Allaire said at the time at a press release, CPN is a significant step in making that vision a reality for businesses worldwide. Stablecoins have started to decouple themselves from crypto exchanges and position themselves as a component of real world financial infrastructure. Payments reported in March, or PYMNTS. Cross-border payments stand as one of the most promising use cases for stablecoins because they promise a faster and cheaper alternative to traditional international transactions. Like, you know how much it costs in order for you to send money over here and do money there, and it's a bunch. Yeah, stable coins make it to where it doesn't cost that much. Literally pennies on a dollar sometimes, depending on the numerical value of where you're sending it to and what payment rail systems of what you're using. Adara, Stellar, Ripple. Traditional cross-border payment methods are often plagued by slow speeds, 3 to 5 business days and or up to a week. We'll throw that in there. Lack of transparency and high costs, according to the Payments Intelligence and Citi collaboration, Citi from Citibank, of course. The Treasury Management Playbook spotlight on cross-border payments. Walmart, I'm sorry. That's something else. But yeah, that's to let you know everything of what's going on with Circle, what how things are being acted with the Genius bill, so that way they can get the stablecoin regulations going on. Because as you can see here, it's where the global infrastructure for global payments utilizing USDC. So if they don't get this stuff together, then they won't be in compliance with what the major big heads are actually wanting to go ahead and go. That's something major for us, man. So the other thing that I want to go ahead and just speak about really quickly, and then this will pretty much be it for what I want to go ahead and speak about with crypto this evening, is for where the SEC is actually talking about charting a new course for digital assets. So this is a couple of days ago, but it's significant today. On May 15th, 2025, the Division of Trading and Markets, the division of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Office of General Counsel of the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority Incorporated, or FINRA, together, the staffs withdrew one, the 2019 Joint Staff Statement regarding broker-dealer custody of digital asset security, the 2019 Joint Staff Statement, two, while simultaneously releasing new frequently asked questions relating to crypto asset activities and distributing ledger technology. The staff's action follows the SEC Crypto Task Force Roundtable focused on crypto custody challenges the Crypto Custody Roundtable, part of its ongoing series established to discuss crypto asset regulations. So here's some key takeaways. The frequently asked questions relate to the application of certain broker, dealer, financial responsibility rules and transfer agent rules to crypto asset activities and distributed ledger technology. The frequently asked questions signals a step back from the regulated burdens introduced by the Special Purpose Broker Dealer Statement issued December 23rd, 2020, or the 2020 SPBD Statement. The withdrawal of the 2019 Joint Staff Statement and issuance of new frequently asked questions are the latest efforts by the SEC staff to chart a new course for digital assets, removing significant barriers previously limiting broker-dealer participation in the digital asset market. So, previous guidance on the custody of digital assets and securities. The withdrawal of the 2019 Joint Staff Statement signals a substantial shift from the staff's previously cautioned stance on broker-dealer custody of digital asset securities. The 2019 Joint Staff Statement questioned whether broker-dealers could intermediate and custody digital asset security in compliance with custodial requirements under Rule 15C3-3, basically your banks, as the Customer Protection Rule. Under the Security Exchange Acts of 1934, as amended, the Exchange Act, noting the differences in the mechanics and risks associated with the custody of traditional securities compared to digital asset securities. The 2019 Joint Staff Statement expressed a view that the manner in which digital asset securities are issued, held, and transferred creates a greater risk of fraud and theft, as well as the potential for irreversible transfers. Because mind you, once crypto is transferred over, that's it. That's the reason why you need to make sure that you check, verify the address of where you're sending it to, understand everything in totality before you send any information. And if you see some weird asset that might pop up underneath yours that you don't recall accessing from any personal like websites or actions of what you've done, don't touch it. Just leave it alone. With no availability to invalidate fraudulent transactions, recover or replace lost property, or correct errors, the staff also emphasized that broker-dealers may find it challenging to comply with the customer protection rules possession or control requirements with when custodying digital asset securities directly, as a broker dealer may not be able to demonstrate that it has the exclusive control over digital asset security. The SEC followed its 2019 Joint Staff Statement with the 2020 SPBD statement set to expire in April 2026. The 2020 SPBD statement outlined 9 conditions under which the SEC staff would not recommend enforcing action against the broker dealer for custodying digital asset securities. These conditions include requiring that the broker dealer limits its business exclusively to digital asset securities, implement policies and procedures to assets distributed ledger technology prior to undertaking to maintain custody of the digital asset security, demonstrate exclusive control over private keys, establish policies and procedures for responding to blockchain disruption, and provide written disclosures to customers about the risk of digital asset securities, aka your white papers or your roadmaps. Foreshadowing actions by SEC staff, SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce recently solicited comments during the crypto custody roundtable on whether the 2020 SPBD statement should be retained, and newly sworn in SEC Chair Paul Atkins alluded to reappealing and replacing it with a more national regime. While the 2020 SPBD statement currently remains in effect, the new frequently asked questions discussed further below ease some of the 2020 SPBD statement's regulatory obligations. So, the new frequently asked questions. The new FAQs represent a substantial shift in the SEC staff approach to the crypto asset activities and distributed ledger technologies. First question clarifies that the possession and control requirements of the customer protection rule do not apply to crypto assets that are not securities. Notably, guidance on how to determine whether a crypto asset is or is not a security was not provided. However, the SEC's Division of Corporation Finance has provided statements of relief regarding meme coins, mining, and stable coins. Fact 2 states that a broker dealer may establish control of crypto assets securities via rule 15C3-3, even if those assets are not in certificated form when held at an otherwise good controlled location under said same rule 15C3-3 sub C. Fact 3 clarifies that the 2020 SPBD statements framework is not the exclusive path for broker dealers seeking to custody customer crypto assets that are securities. Instead, the fact states that a broker dealer carrying crypto asset securities for a customer or PAB account, as an example for a proprietary securities account of another broker or dealer, may establish control under Rule 15C3-3C. Fact 4 clarifies that proprietary positions in Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are the only two crypto assets currently underlying crypto asset exchange traded products, ETPs, trading on national security exchanges, are readily marketable and therefore may be used in the broker dealer's net capital computation subject to the same risk-based deduction known as haircuts as other commodities, i.e. 20%, under Appendix B of Rule 15C3-1 of the Exchange Act, the net capital rule. This is a significant concession from the SEC's previous requirement of up to 100% haircuts for those crypto assets, meaning that they were essentially treated as having no value when calculating a broker-dealer net capital, which is the haircut for securities deemed non-marketable under the net capital rule 10. They're changing that stuff up. That's good. Fact 6 highlights that non-security crypto assets held by a broker-dealer are not protected under the Securities Investor Protection Act of 1970, or SIPA, as SIPA is fundamentally tailored to securities. The fact also provides analysis on transfer agent requirements to crypto assets that are securities, such as Robinhood. Looking ahead, recommendations from the SEC Crypto Task Force Roundtable suggest forthcoming actions by the SEC, as well as continued guidance from the SEC staff. In a keynote addresses that the SEC Crypto Task Force Roundtable on tokenization, Chair Atkins highlighted that nothing in the federal security law prohibits registered broker-dealers with an alternative trading system, or ATS, in from facilitating trading in non-securities, including via pairs trading, such as ROUSD or XRP as an example, between securities and non-securities, and has requested that the SEC staff modernize its ATS regulatory regime to better accommodate crypto assets. Looking ahead, we anticipate the SEC and its policy division will continue to address challenging regulatory issues surrounding digital asset securities in an effort to develop more hospitable regulatory framework. And that's what I have for the crypto news today. So you see the movement that the SEC is doing in order to make sure things are more mainstream. You see how to where things were voted as a yes, so that way the stablecoin bill legislation can go ahead and become more mainstream. You see how Circle USDC is becoming more mainstream, not only with cross-border payments all across the globe on the various different payment rails, but as well as become on various different blockchains to become utilized as payment systems as well too, such as how I've been talking about with Stellar or XLM, Hedera, HBAR. Coinbase is utilizing it as well too. Other platforms are utilizing it as a payment systems. So you see to where everything is in flow and everything is in movement. That is why for the longest, we here at Three Man Podcast, not only ourselves have been doing our due diligence to invest in said cryptocurrencies, assets, and stable coins across those various different platforms. So that way we can be highly diversified, but as well, once that flip is switched, everything will be good to go for us. And not giving you financial advice necessarily, but giving you some advice. If you haven't been doing so, you might want to do so before that window of opportunity is closed, because that door has closed to the plane. Now there's just that small little window of opportunity before takeoff happens. Because once that happens, that's it. But I do thank you folks for listening in on Crypto News this evening. And we are going to go ahead and switch to whatever topic that we have tonight, which is Max. Do you possibly have any rants? And it's good to see you, brother.
Hey, what's up, Dragon? Nah, I really don't. It's good, man.
Shoot, happy, bro. Things are looking good for us. Things are moving in our favor. So I'm as explicitly happy with that right now.
Yeah,
You?
sir. I'm in Bali taking out. I basically, with all my investments, I've been forgetting, and I just like let them set and forgot about them, all that shit. Just let them just let them gain over time. Gain money over time, brother.
That's the best thing to do, man.
Because so I didn't know that if I stake, basically, if I stake on Coinbase, pretty much all the money that I add onto onto the like I think it was is it Zoro Zeros? Is it
Zero.
Zeros? Toro, my bad, Toro. Is it
Mm-hmm.
Toro? Yeah. I didn't know like on Coinbase if you like stake
Toro,
in and
Toro, Toro, Toro,
so
Toro.
I didn't know I didn't know every single every single time you add if you stake it and I guess you deposit money like I have a reoccurrence, but I didn't know it added towards those staking. Like it will automatically stake those coins for you. So I thought that was pretty dope.
That's why for the longest, bro, I said, hey, go ahead and stake on these different platforms because you'll not only get your dividend payout in order for making sure that blockchain transactions and other stuff is solidified across that chain. So they'll pay you for that. But as well, they'll also give you more because you're investing more into it. So they'll give you more of a higher cut as well with along with it too. That's why I was
Well,
like, go ahead.
well, see, I thought I had to like because I was trying to figure out. I was like, yo, I was like, all right, I haven't staked these coins yet, man. I was like, how the fuck do I stake these bitches? Yeah, it took me about 30 minutes to realize that, they automatically stake themselves. So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I could have saved myself 30 minutes, but hey.
Some of them you have to go in and you have to select them to actually be staked and for a time duration on Coinbase, but like your payment coins such as like USDC and the other ones, those are automatic. They do it
And,
automatically for you.
and
Which
on for other news on the trucker side, I seen something earlier today that I've never seen before. I seen a coyote chasing a deer. Then the deer gets hit by a fucking 18 wheeler, but the coyote get hit by a pickup truck.
Boy,
all, all
damn,
this all this
Wile E.
shit
Coyote.
happened right in front of me, and I didn't know how to fucking feel about it.
man, that's
How about enlightened?
that's
I didn't
funny.
know how to fucking feel about it, nigga, because of the fact that it was the fact that that was my first time ever seeing a coyote ever getting hit by any car, and I think that's the first time I have seen a yeah, that was the first time I ever seen a coyote chase a deer. So it was 2-2 for me. Well, technically a 3-3, but hey, you gotta get your wins however you get them. Oh shit!
What?
That's true.
No, um, do you know like the grooves in the roads that almost
Yeah,
like
those things be annoying
yeah,
sometimes when you get into the
yeah,
groove. Yeah, I can't stand that.
yeah? That's what happened. That literally just happened to me, and it was trying to send me
Off to
a
the
groove
side.
road
Yup.
to the ditch. I'm like, what the fuck
Yup.
you doing?
I hate that too.
Like, where my dictions at? I'm like, yo, I was driving, then my fucking vehicle just merged towards the ditch. Ain't my fault. But
Man.
yeah, man. What's up, Sean? How you doing, man?
Man, I am in the clouds, bro. I'm about to pass out on here.
You said
He
you
over
about to
there
fall asleep.
flying, bro.
Huh?
Sound like you about to fall asleep.
Man, I am done for over here, dog. I am done for. I'm hanging on, man, like a trooper, bro. But God, dog. Mm-hmm. Man. But yeah, man. Over here, struggling just a little bit, man. But I'm still waiting on my damn dude. Get it out. Get it out. You all right, dog? Guess he's all right.
Yep.
But yeah, man, just I am so done for over here. Whew, boy.
So what we got on the
Uh,
calendar tonight besides the crypto news, brother?
well, excuse me. Damn. We're gonna talk some more about Diddy and some. Yeah, most about Diddy and some more
Diddy
shit.
and
Well, shit keep goddamn happening, but we ain't got to, man. It don't matter to me, shit. I don't give a
like
fuck.
shit. What more do we got? What more do we need to talk about Diddy?
What more do
Like
you
that,
want from
like this
me?
nigga. Like every single time we talk about Diddy, I'm like, I gotta take me a shower. Fuck this.
I think he cried in court today. I don't know. Trump's tax bill passes. Democrats in shock. What?
Hold on. Did the tax bill pass the House and the Senate, or it passed
I
both?
don't. I don't know, young man. I do not know. Let's see here. Fuck it. Let's make it do what it do. Shit.
In
Oh,
other news, Diddy cried in court today,
Trying to build a website.
allegedly.
Huh?
I was saying Diddy cried in court today, allegedly the fluid was baby oil. Back to you, Bob.
Peters.
stupid.
Mr. Peters, aye. Mr. Panetta. Mr. Panetta, aye. Miss Watson Coleman. Miss Watson Coleman, aye. Miss Plaskett. Miss Plaskett, aye. Miss Escobar. Miss Escobar, aye. Miss Omar. Miss Omar, aye. Miss Ballant.
Yeah, if you don't
Miss
fast forward
Ballant,
this shit,
aye.
so
Miss Captor.
Oh yeah, I ain't got to say they. It says U.S. Republicans advance Trump tax cut in rare vote after shocking opposition. Let me see if it's somebody else talking about it, man. Let me see here. There's nothing so far. Let me see. Hold on. Let me look in the search bar. All right, let's see what CNBC says about this shit.
This around President Trump's sweeping tax bill or cut of taxes, and the path forward still remains unclear. Emily Wilkins has the latest for us, and of course, what it's going to mean for taxpayers. Emily.
Hey, David. Well, yeah, negotiations are still ongoing, but the nearly $4 trillion tax package and the rest of Trump's extensive legislative agenda, it did clear another hurdle late Sunday night after a weekend of negotiations between GOP leadership and the fiscal hawks. But the bill still does not have the needed votes to pass in the House, meaning that Speaker Mike Johnson has more deals to make before the end of the week, which is his deadline for passing that bill. Now, Johnson and other Republican leaders, they talked with a lot of time this weekend with 4 members of the House Budget Committee who voted against this mega package on Friday. One of the members, Congressman John Burkeen, said on X that the group made progress regarding wind and solar subsidy repeals and welfare work requirements for the able-bodied to ensure that meaningful reform takes place during President Trump's term in office, not after, as was previously drafted in the bill. Yet, despite that progress, it was not enough to get Burkeen and others to yes. They voted present last night, indicating that while progress had been made, they think there is more to go on these cuts. Of course, if lawmakers go too far on the cuts, then they risk alienating more moderate members who want to keep benefits like Medicaid and SNAP for their constituents.
Hey,
Plus, it's not just the issue on.
What's up?
All those niggas primary.
Oh yeah.
Say more about those niggas. All those niggas primary. Primary all those motherfuckers right there. Cool. All right, cool.
So those 4 people right there just voted present instead of saying yes.
They basically voting against. They voting against it.
By saying yeah. So they go in there and they just say, I'm here. And then, yeah, they vote against. Yeah, they're going to be primary.
Yeah, primary then. Like literally, work requirements for fucking people who are receiving welfare. You have a problem with that? Really?
Well,
that's when people complain about. I'm like, and this is the reason why y'all niggas get on my fucking nerves. And I gotta say, niggas. I don't hear white folks complaining about this shit. I don't hear Mexicans complain. I hear nothing but niggas complaining about this shit. Oh, they're gonna get rid of the health care requirement. They're trying to add requirements. You're supposed to work while you're on welfare. Bitch, y'all wasn't doing that before? So y'all basically want free shit for no fucking reason. My question is, why the fuck why the fuck do we still allow y'all to live there? It's my question.
Good question.
But like my thing is, why haven't they created some contractment, some contractment to help y'all to reduce y'all carbon, because y'all are fucking useless fucking people. I'm sorry. All the black folks who complain about this they got mad on me on TikTok when I said it. Hey, I got blocked for it. But I told them, y'all fucking useless. You're fucking useless people. So basically, you're telling me is that you want somebody to live your life, to pay all your fucking bills, all of that shit, while you're fucking a morbidly obese person who's on welfare. You are a fucking lazy fucker. Lazy fat motherfucker. I'm sorry, I was cussing out one more TikTok earlier. I guess you would call it a fucking rant, but yeah. Primary these niggas, I'm done. Primary these bitches.
of course.
The budget, lawmakers also have to figure out where to put that cap for state and local tax deductions. At this point, you have at least 5 lawmakers say that they will oppose the bill unless that proposed $30,000 cap is raised. Now, changes will be made at a committee meeting happening at 1 a.m. on Wednesday, middle of the night, trying to make sure they have time to get this done. Johnson hopes to have the House vote on Thursday. Remember, he can only afford to lose 3 votes on the floor. A lot of negotiations this week. There's a call coming up with Republican lawmakers to discuss the dynamics of the bill. We expect a lot more conversations happening on Capitol Hill as they rush to try to make the deadline of getting it passed this week. Guys?
You know it's getting intense when you start scheduling 1 a.m. meetings. Emily, appreciate that. If you want
So that's that. So that's that right there. Let's see what else is going on. Man, I am fucking oof.
Sound like you up there, bruh.
Man, I'm bored. I'm so up there, bro.
Let's see.
Oh, what's this nigga here saying? Okay, so Kevin O'Leary ass. Kevin O'Leary. He's got something he don't like about the damn tax bill, bill that Trump putting out. That's what he talking about.
Trade deals.
When you turn $2,000 into $20,000.
And then firms are going to lift off. But think about it. Even before that happened, we're getting really strong jobs numbers. First quarter capital equipment investment was north of 20%, one of the best quarters ever, because all of America knows that the golden age is coming and we got to start building stuff before everybody else gets in front of us. And so I think that you're going to look at the second half of the year that's way, way north of 3%, probably north of 4%, to give us one of the better years we've ever had. Because even with the uncertainty that you talk about, that I've written widely about over the last 25 years, even with that uncertainty, we've got strong jobs numbers and strong investment. And so once the uncertainty is lowered, then a liftoff from there is really going to be something to see.
National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett with me yesterday on this program, predicting 4% plus growth in the U.S. economy in the second half of this year. Joining me now is O'Leary Ventures Chairman Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And in the past, you've raised some concerns about the direction of the U.S. economy. What is your reaction to what you just heard from Kevin Hassett?
Well, I like to be an optimist, and 4% would be spectacular.
Yeah.
It would be absolutely phenomenal. Now, I don't know if we're going to get there, but he did bring up the tariff issues. And the way I look at the tariff deal is we've got this date of July 9th, and that's when the 90-day freeze, particularly on the China package, comes off. Will we have resolution by then? And what I mean by that, Maria, is what I think is happening here, because the tariffs are all over the map. I mean, the Canadians just dropped their tariffs practically to zero, and yet we still have tariffs on them. The European thing is in flux. Of course, we've got the Japanese situation, the Indian. I'd like to see resolution to all of this at whatever the reciprocal rate's going to be. And the way I look at it, and I think the way the market's starting to look at it, given the recovery we've had, maybe we're going to a place where reciprocal platform is around 10%, which effectively becomes a value-added tax on America, a consumption tax, like every other country has. We've been never able to pass a consumption tax through Congress, but if we call it a tariff, it seems to be able to work. So if that's where we're going, the market's going to be okay with that, because there's so many countries around the world and economies that function very well between 7% and 14% consumption taxes. If that's where we're going, he could be right. But if it's more chaos and more 145 and the China package is on its own an issue around IP law and everything else, we got a lot of moving parts here. But right now, the market's willing to give the administration the benefit of the doubt.
Well, because President Trump has been right. I mean, you know it. You've talked about China and its bad behavior. How else is he going to move the needle on this bad behavior, these non-tariff barriers? But look, you recently said that the president's big, beautiful bill is a disaster for small business. Why?
Now that I use Monday service, AI makes solving tickets.
Freaking ads.
Simple. You remember the PPP and ERC programs. They were the only bills available during the pandemic for small business. All the other bills, like the CHIPS and Science Act, the infrastructure bill.
Huh?
Good, man.
I'm struggling, but I'm here, man. Hey, just give it pushing, bro. No, man.
Flying in
Fuck
that
up
spaceship,
over here, man.
bro.
I ain't hear you said what?
You over there flying in that spaceship?
Oh man, I'm glad I didn't take no more gummies, dog. I was getting close. I really was, dog. Oh,
I'm rolling. This shit fucking hilarious.
man, I took a gummy and then I smoked, man. Oh.
All of that, there wasn't a dime in there for small business. And there are millions of small businesses in America. And they drew down the PPP and the ERC to stay alive and keep their employees employed. And it worked. Now, we've got a situation in this new beautiful bill, and I don't think anybody reads these things. I read it. I read all these bills through the eyes of small business. And I found a section in there that looks like a cut and paste that says the IRS will get extended powers to audit small businesses for up to 9 years that took the ERC. Now, that is going to cause chaos in valuations. If you have that hanging over your head, it almost seems unfair and un-American to do that to small business. And I'm not sure everybody's aware of this provision in the bill. I'm heading down tonight to the Hill to get a gong and walk down the halls banging it, saying, what are you guys doing here? You can't do that to small business. Somebody should fix this in the big, beautiful bill, because it's not beautiful for small business. That's totally unfair, because if you're trying to do a deal or get financing or raise capital, and you know you've got that uncertainty for 9 years, that's going to cause chaos.
Well, look, we've had Kelly Loeffler on this program, the head of the small business, and she's talked all about supporting small business. Are you telling me that there's nothing in the bill that supports small business?
No, I'm telling you, Maria, there's a provision in here that hurts small business, and it really will be devastating to them. And I don't know how it got in there. It could have been a cut and paste from a previous bill. But whatever it is, somebody's got to raise the red flag, and I'm going to do it, because this is not good. You know, small business creates 62% of jobs. And every small business in my portfolio has called me and said, what the hell is this? Where'd this come from? Of course I took ERC because I had to stay alive, and now they're punishing me for it. I understand, Maria, there was fraud in the ERC, as there's fraud in every government program. But to punish every small business in America this way makes absolutely no sense. And I'm very optimistic that this will get fixed before this big, beautiful bill passes. I don't think enough people know about this, and I thank you for bringing it up, because this is a huge problem.
Well, look, I didn't bring it up. You brought it up. But I want to say this. What I am going to bring up is this. There's increased loan approvals and lending activity. The SBA has seen a significant increase in loan approvals under Kelly Loeffler. 80% increase in loan approvals, okay? So they're trying to move things forward faster. You've got this focus on deregulation. They're taking red tape out so that small business can move forward. They want to extend the tax cuts so that small business can get tax cuts there. They're trying to streamline and reorganize the SBA, and they want to get a focus on American manufacturing and bringing supply chains back to America. So for you to sit here and tell me that there's nothing in here for small business and that small business is getting screwed in the big, beautiful bill, I just don't see it. However, I will look at what you're talking
Maria,
about in terms of the IRS.
That. I agree with all of those provisions, but the one that's overhanging that really, really hurts is giving more power to the IRS to cause conflict with small business. Who wants to do that? What Republican wants to give more power?
I don't like that. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, well then let's agree on that. But everything else, I applaud any support for small business. And right now, with rates over 7% on mortgages, it's really important to give them these. But this overhanging war on small business from the IRS, that's got to go.
Okay. I want to get your take before you go on China, because did you see what happened with cattle? Shares of the Chinese battery company soaring in Hong Kong, up 16%. Now it's the largest equity offering so far this year, Kevin. You and I have had this discussion about all those Chinese stocks traded on US exchanges. That's another economic lever for President Trump to pull. He hasn't gone there yet. We know that would be death for the Chinese Communist Party, to actually see those Chinese stocks get off of U.S. exchanges, because that ends their funding by American investors. That's why cattle went public in Hong Kong. Your reaction?
Look, I agree. They have to go attract capital wherever they can get it. But at the end of the day, the biggest market still remains the United States of America, not only for the purchase of batteries, but also for capital markets. So that has to get resolved. But I will say one thing. Most of us that are investors, and in small business and large, want to do business with the Chinese people. It's a massive market. We want that deal done. We just want to protect our IP. We want access to the legal system to resolve trade disputes. I'm a China hawk. I've said, let's go 400% so we have an embargo until this gets worked out.
Yeah.
The China package is different than all the rest of the tariffs. We've talked about that quite a bit. I really want this China deal done so that opens up the markets. Let us compete on a level playing field, and it'll be great.
What did you think about the stablecoin legislation? The Senate advanced this landmark stablecoin legislation late last night. We weren't sure. For a minute there, I thought it was, dead on arrival. 16 Democrats flipped after ethics standards for government employees and limits for tech companies issuing stable coins were included in the bill. Democrat Senator Mark Warner, one of the 16 to flip, said that the latest bill is not perfect, but the U.S. cannot afford to keep standing on the sidelines. This now legislation moves to the Senate floor for debate, with the final vote happening as early as Friday. Kevin, you and I have spoken in the past about the banks and whether or not they were complicit. Maybe they don't want legislation to move forward. The Genius Act, they didn't want that to move forward because maybe it infringes on their own business.
This is a groundbreaking move. Congratulations to Haggerty, 66 votes. It now goes to the Senate. Thune, I hope, can bring it before the break. We don't know yet. But this is so important for us to be competitive in digital payment systems around the world. And I know what happened on the flips. I'm sure Schumer had something to do with this. He basically said, look, I don't want to give them a 2/3. I'm going to let them get it through, but I want to hold back on a partisan basis. That's probably what occurred. But still, 66 is enough. It's good enough. And this bill is relatively clean. It's a groundbreaker for crypto, because once we get this passed, this is not Bitcoin. This is just digital payment systems, but it does assure us that the U.S. dollar becomes the de facto currency around the world for price discovery on commodities. Who doesn't want that?
That's
Elizabeth Warren tried very hard to shut it down. She wasn't successful, and I'm happy about that.
All right, so am I going to see you with a gong on Capitol Hill up and down the halls today? Is that what I'm going to see today?
Yes, and I'll have one of those symbols on my back and a gong going right. That's what I'm going to do.
We'll set some cameras over there. Kevin, good to see you, my friend. Thank you.
Every single summer, I hear guys swearing off alcohol and sugar to get ripped. And
oh man, Max, what's going on, man? You ready for some mumble rants, man? You got any rant?
I have nothing for tonight.
You got nothing for tonight, bro? I feel you, dog. It's all good, bro. It is what it is, man. Hold on. Okay, we're gonna do this.
Was not going to testify unless they could get an immunity deal, or when they took the stand, they were going to plead the fifth. The courtroom was heavy today with testimony from 3 key witnesses: HSI Special Agent Gerard Gannon, forensic psychologist Dr. Don Hughes, and former Diddy assistant George Kaplan. Now, each of these witnesses were adding layers to the prosecution's case against Diddy, who you know is facing sex trafficking by force, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The morning started with HSI Special Agent Gerard Gannon, who continued his testimony from yesterday. Now, he was part of the raid on Diddy's Miami mansion in March of 2025. Remember, we all saw it on TV. So he was one of the lead agents in there. So Gannon ended up holding up evidence bags for the jury, and it showcased drugs that were found in a Gucci bag tucked inside a closet in Diddy's home. There was a baggie labeled DBL wash with cocaine. There were pink and orange MDMA tablets and pills found. Some were stamped with a Tesla logo. And then there were traces of ketamine and other drugs.
What's DBL stand for? Double lube? Like, what's going on, man?
He also displayed gun components, including upper and lower receivers of AR-15 rifles with guys' defaced serial numbers, and a loaded .45 caliber handgun found in a red suitcase at the property's guard shack. The prosecution leaned on the indictment to cross-check this evidence, while the defense, led by Jonathan Bach, emphasized that some drug quantities, like certain MDMA pills, well, they were so minimal, they were destroyed by authorities, suggesting that the amounts were insignificant. Now, Gannon's testimony was methodical, and I would say it was very evidence heavy, so it set a pretty gritty tone with the photos of the 25 bottles of baby oil and the bottles of Astroglide that was found in this hallway closet. It was like they were trying to tie back all of the allegations of the freak off supplies. Now, one important note, okay, and I've mentioned this.
Hold on. Did they accidentally destroy evidence?
Do I now?
Did they accidentally destroy evidence? Basically,
Who? Who?
She's
You
talking
talking
about?
Talking about the one that sees the evidence?
My bad. Did they actually accidentally destroy evidence?
You mean the special agents?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what she's saying.
It literally just probably just said that it sounded like they accidentally destroyed evidence or something like that.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Well, all right. My bad.
They found a green rubber ducky and a yellow rubber ducky with his freak off materials. Now, I have not heard anything about children being involved in this particular case, but there are people suing Diddy, several people who were children at the time who were sexually assaulted by Diddy. Okay, so he has lawsuits pending right now, and it gets pretty intense. Outside of those lawsuits in these cases, there have been trafficked victims who were children who have gone on social media and spoke out that they were part of some of Diddy's freak-offs. Again, I want to be clear. Nothing is being alleged in this case. We don't know why these toys.
What you say, man?
I'm about to check some timelines for me, nigga.
Wow.
Diddy, if I was 200 yards close to you in your vicinity, nigga, if I was 200 yards near your ass, Diddy, add me to the list, nigga. I'm suing
You
your ass,
better
nigga.
you better wear bulletproof crotch shorts or something, bro. 'Cause he coming
I'm
for
going to
your
sue
ass.
you, Diddy. I'm good. He that monster is being held in jail, so
Well,
I'm good. But Diddy, you better pray. I was nowhere near you, close to your vicinity,
Max was
nigga.
over there Diddy
Because
bopping.
after all this diabolical shit that is coming out, nigga, I'm gonna sue you just because the vibes you could have put.
I'm gonna sue Diddy for exposing me to all this shit on goddamn internet.
Like, I'm talking about the vibes, nigga. Like, just I'm like, nigga. I'm like, if I feel like I had a shitty vibe, nigga, I'm here, you, nigga. Man, I'm suing the fuck out of you, nigga, for sexual assault, nigga. You sexual assault my vibes, nigga. All
Boy,
right,
you
I'm done.
stupid,
All right.
man. Oh shit.
would be found with a freak off kit, with his freak off supplies. But it was significant enough that it was mentioned. And not only that, it was the picture that they showed of what they found. They made sure that that was highlighted. So you guys leave a comment below. Do you think we're going to move in that direction? Or do you think that's just maybe that could be a separate case? I don't know at this time. But do you think there's any merit, although we don't have a case with that pending right now? Do you think there's any merit to perhaps freak offs could have involved children?
Fucking ads.
The focus shifted to Dr. Dawn Hughes. Now, she's a clinical and forensic psychologist specializing in trauma. She testified as a blind expert for the prosecution. Now, she was asked about this for transparency with the prosecution, but she was paid $600 an hour for her work, and her other rate is $6,000 a day in order to testify in court. Now, this is something that the defense tried to get into a dust up with her about, but more on that later. She provided a deep dive into trauma bonding and PTSD, drawing on her experience, 30 years of experience with veterans and abuse victims. She explained how trauma bonding creates this intense psychological tie where victims may stay in an abusive relationship due to like a variety of reasons, like fear, love, or feeling trapped, not because they actually want the abuse or they enjoy it. She described passive self-defense tactics like curling up in a ball, which there was testimony from earlier from Don Richard and Carrie Morgan about Cassie's reactions during alleged beatings by Diddy. Hughes also linked trauma to substance abuse, noting how victims like Ventura, Cassie, like she used drugs in order to numb herself during freak offs. With Cassie testifying about how she became addicted to opiates, she also said that she used illegal drugs, she used all of these drugs, not just to help her psychologically deal with all the trauma at the time. She wanted to just emotionally detach, be out of her body, disassociate, but also to help her with all of the physical and health problems that came from the freak offs, the sexual activity, as well as the beatings. I've detailed that before, but I'm not going to get into it anymore. But just know she had infections and things that can no longer be cured by antibiotics. She had had so many infections that even medicine would not work anymore. And so during these freak offs, which a lot of women will testify, if you have a UTI or anything going on down there and it can't be treated, that it can burn. It is painful. It is not something you enjoy in the least bit. Regarding PTSD, Dr. Hughes added that it can fragment memories, making it very difficult to recall, or it can become hazy, or your memory may be delayed when you have this, which could explain some of the inconsistencies in the victim's accounts. There were a few in Cassie's testimony as well as Don Richard, where they would get a few things mixed up, not huge things to completely discredit them. But there has been some back and forth with people debating, did Don Richard discredit herself because maybe she didn't remember some things, or she remembered one thing wrong or a couple of things wrong. It just depends on how the jury sees it. But this doctor was brought in to explain this is how trauma works in the brain. This is how these memories come. You can remember things much later, sometimes years later.
Fuck
We
that
put some
shit. Let's
music up
fast forward.
instead. This kept the courtroom tense, with Diddy briefly turning to speak to his sons, Justin and Christian, during one break. Though what he said, we don't know. It remains a mystery. The day's final witness was George Kaplan, a former Diddy assistant from December 2013 to December 2015. He was questioned by the prosecutors. And what was crazy, before he was questioned, he was brought in, as I alluded to in my opening, during a break, and the jury was out, and the doctor was still testifying. It was a break during her testimony. They brought him in, and he basically was going to plead the fifth. He was going to plead the fifth unless he got an immunity deal. Now, this was already worked out with the prosecutor, but the judge is the person that has to sign off on it, who has to grant the immunity. So once he came in, they discussed it, and he ended up getting his immunity deal. So then that is why he's testifying now. He worked at Diddy's Enterprises initially as an executive assistant to the COO before becoming Diddy's personal assistant in September of 2014. He described grueling, and I mean grueling, work weeks, 80 to 100 hours. Like we've heard about the 20 hours from another former employee. And he earned about $120,000 for, I think, 15 months. His shifts would run from 9:30 in the morning to as late as 4 a.m. the next morning. Another witness said theirs was from 8 a.m. one day to 4 a.m. the next day. So a lot of this involved studio sessions. He also said that he had to carry different packing bags for Diddy, coordinate meetings, set up hotel rooms, and for freak offs in cities like LA, New York, Miami. And they included hotels like the Trump Hotel and the Intercontinental, which seemed to be a favorite of Diddy's at the time. Kaplan also testified about preparing a hotel bag with Diddy's clothes, candles, baby oil, and Astroglide. Now, this corroborates earlier accounts of freak-off setups. After Diddy stays, he was saying
Diddy in that damn Astroglide.
After Diddy would leave the freak-off,
that is some good shit, though, man. That shit worked like a motherfucker.
Kaplan would be one of the people that clean up the rooms himself in order to protect Diddy's reputation. They actually asked him, well, if there was hotel staff that would clean a room, why didn't they do that? He said the rooms were so messy and so destructive, he had to do it. And again, the main goal he had, his orders were to make sure that Diddy was protected. So they would go in and clean up, I'm thinking, and hoping that it was enough to, that the hotel staff wouldn't notice. But many of these hotel rooms were completely destroyed, costing thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to redecorate them. Like the hotels would demand that. Even though they would clean up, it was still so disgusting. As we've heard, there will be blood, urine, oil all over the place. Okay. It was just nasty. And the smell was pretty horrible too.
If you don't know where to start in Top Heroes World, the Springland is a great.
Oh, shut the fuck up, man.
He would find lots of empty bottles, okay? And there would be baby oil on the table, on the floor, on the bed, all over the place. He once spotted crystallized powder on a bathroom sink. Now, he used a corporate credit card, yes, to buy supplies like the baby oil and the lubricant, reinforcing the prosecution's narrative of organized logistics for alleged illicit activities coming from Diddy's organization. This guy was on the payroll for Diddy's company, yet he was engaged in setting up these freak-offs that were a part of the alleged sex trafficking that took place, and also the transportation for
freak out. But no, don't love freak. Says she. Freak out. I hear that every time they say that shit, man.
Prostitution. So that reinforces it as somebody working for the organization, getting a W-2, getting a paycheck, being paid in order to contribute to these illegal or alleged illegal activities. Kaplan also admitted to purchasing MDMA for Diddy on 2 occasions, once in Miami and once in the Bel Air Hotel in LA. Now, he was just following instructions. He says he was following instructions to call a number. Then he would go meet a contact and exchange cash for a bag. The contents, though, were unknown to him until he handed them to Diddy. He described a med bag containing Tylenol, Advil, ketamine, and prescription meds, though he didn't elaborate on any other drugs beyond the MDMA purchases that he made those few times. Kaplan's testimony, which will continue tomorrow, I think it painted a picture, if I'm honest, of this high pressure role where discretion was paramount, meaning aligning with I think this is what it is. It painted this picture that even if Diddy, which he said didn't sometimes give direct instructions on things, that he knew that this was his job. This was part of it. He was given instruction to do these things. But after a while, his job was, known that he has to protect Diddy. And once you're seeing, drugs and all the things from the freak off and seeing some illegal activity, and then your boss has you engage in illegal activity such as buying drugs with, I'm assuming, company cash, that is a problem for the defense. And that's the picture that the prosecution is trying to paint, tying that, these freak offs just weren't freaky parties, sexual deviancy, but they were funded by the actual enterprises.
Yep. So that's a little bit on Diddy. We talked enough about Diddy, man. Hey guys, we've been going an hour and some change. Hey man, I can't do it. I ain't gonna lie, man. I can't do it. We've got crypto out the way. We talked about crypto.
Let's just end. You want to just end it here?
Yeah, let's end it here tonight, man. I gotta be careful with certain people around me, man. Certain times of the day, I see.
Yep.
Goodness gracious. But yeah, folks, it's been great. We'll see you next time. Peace out.
Peace out, everyone.